Imagine everything you love about the hobby in the palm of your hand. An entire store at your fingertips. Everything you need to know about cards is within your grasp. Unlock the secrets of the hobby. Plus, so much more. You don't have to imagine anymore. It's here. Card Ladder. Get the app today.
Adam Lefko sent the request. Let's get Josh in here. Josh, what's up, man?
What's up?
Hey, Adam Lefko sent a request. Christina sent Why did you send a request?
I was trying to hit the hard.
Is this the first week with 4? Possibility of 4?
Adam, you trying to come in here for a minute, guy? Or was that a mistake like Christina's? He is trying to come in here. Hold on. Let's bring Adam in for a second. We'll try out our 4-way thing here.
I made it on the crossover.
Let's go. Let's go.
I was trying to not let Josh in. I forgot that you could let more than one person in now.
You're up to no good, buddy.
Wow, I did it. This is like the biggest moment of my life, Chris.
Thank you. You are the first ever guest of the crossover.
Yo, we got a third.
Josh, how are you? Serious Josh. Computer screen, how are you? Serious Josh.
I'm so much better now.
Man, ooh, truly.
Tonight is a White Claw raspberry.
How the brackets doing, fellas? How the brackets doing?
I didn't even make one, man, because I don't know any of the teams.
Good for you.
I don't know a single player in any team. I thought of that today. I couldn't name one player.
How about this? How about they were like Tuesday night, they were like, hey guys, we need you to do brackets. And Wade was like, I don't even know any of the teams. And I said, Wade, it doesn't matter. Just write down names. And then he has the gall to text me tonight and go, I told you Wisconsin was going to beat North Carolina. And I'm like, who cares?
That's rich.
I watched the Oral Roberts game. That was exciting. That's a fun team.
That was good. Guys, I got to get off. You have a lot of listeners that want to hear, not from me. I love you guys. Have a great show. Speak the truth. Goodbye.
Thanks for popping in. Good news, Josh, as well. I'm on my phone. I'm on.
Oh, you got a new phone.
Yep. Let's give people something better to look at. I did not get a new phone.
Oh, you just figured it out.
One of my very few baseball cards. All right. All I had to do was change the direction the camera was facing, and all of a sudden it started letting me go. All right, guys. Do you have any mail days to show off, Josh?
No, it is a no mail day week.
Same here. Same here. All right. So today is March 19th, 2021. Welcome to the crossover. The crossover will now be debuting an hour later for the next 6 months. So that's a little announcement for you guys. We also have a new sports cards culture episode that just came out, and the topic is collectors versus flippers. Who does better financially? So check that out on our YouTube channel, the Card Ladder YouTube channel. All right, got a bunch of questions and got a packed house quickly tonight. Maybe it's something about the hour, starting a little later. I don't know. And Lefko popping in surely had something to do with that. So let's go first here with the questions. Tons of questions. I give the questions this week a B+. And
Nice.
I'm a tough grader. I don't grade on a curve, so B+ for questions. First question comes from Gem Mint I. NBA card market with the playoffs approaching. And Putnam Cards had a similar question. Could we see a run-up in prices of NBA playoff contenders like we saw last year? And so I have one comment on this that reminds me of the same comment we made last year before the bubble and the bubble playoffs began. Just remember, only one team can win. Only one team can win. Everybody else loses eventually, and their season ends in disappointment. All right, Josh, what do you think, man? NBA card market with the playoffs approaching.
Yeah, I guess I'll just like expand on what you just said. Just be careful with that concept because the timing of it is tricky. You know, a team could get bounced early. You could be left, shit out of luck if you held it a little bit too long. And also remember that one of the best ways for a card market to drive up value of somebody is when they're prospecting them, and that's when they're not playing. So, like, Kevin Durant is the hottest player in the league right now, and the dude hasn't played in a month and a half. And, like, Trae Young was going crazy last year when he wasn't playing because of the bubble. So keep that in mind as well. I know that there's like a lot of temptation to want to just like buy guys who you think are going to do well in the playoffs, and that can be true for a lot of guys. Just you got to be kind of cautious with it, I think.
Good. Nothing new here, but yeah, good points. All right. Oh, I have a thought. People are thinking early about the playoffs. Like we still have over 30 games left to play in the season.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe that's some insight into everything in this hobby is getting time shifted forward a little bit. Is that true?
Yep.
Okay. Next question.
This stuff is coming down hard.
Let's talk about it for a second.
Hard. Like this kind of stuff where it's like super high pop, PSA 9 stuff of like off year GOAT stuff, which is like incredibly hot during that, February time frame leading up to February. And then it's just almost, but again, like I like to point this out. I know you do as well, but like if you follow this little trajectory, it's fine. Just ignore that giant middle finger. Like this is like where the the hypesters and the flippers and stuff like push it up to, and then it goes back to where the collectors actually like stabilize it. Yeah.
What card is that, buddy?
That's the 81 Topps Bird, and like there was it's like his first, it's like his rookie card where he's by himself on the card because his actual rookie card is, he's sharing it. So like it's kind of a cool card, like it's his first Topps where he's got his own card, and it's a cool looking card. And then PSA 9, going from $250 to $3,000 in a month just isn't real. That's not how this works. It's not how any market works. Like you shouldn't be upset to see cards go down after that. Nobody should be. It has nothing to do with the player, the card, the set, the collectability. It's all about just like the unreasonable rise in value.
So we had a couple of questions related to this. I'm going to fast forward to now. Chrissy Buckets says the card ladder. Oh, and Chrissy, what's the Dallas Portland score right now?
112, 115 Portland.
Oh Lord, I was about to talk trash to Chrissy Buckets, but maybe now I can't. All right, he writes in the card ladder index grew 200% from the year 2015 to the year 2020. Grew 200% over that 5-year span. It has grown 700% from 2020 to 2021. Okay, so 200% from 2015 to 2020, 700% from 2020 to 2021. Can you comment on the health of this market? If the card ladder index was a card, would you sell the card?
I mean, it might be kind of obvious, or if you're paying attention, like I'm just not buying as much stuff right now. And I think that's it's an indicator of me as like a collector and individual in this market that I'm just not willing to spend. Like I've reached my limit of what I'm willing to spend on a lot of this stuff. Or I'm having to like shift over to football and get a little bit more creative. And so I'm not like actively selling because of like what you just stated, but it has slowed down my buying a lot. So I feel like it is moving more towards the seller's market just because like it's really hard to find deals on stuff when it's increased, 700% in a year. Like that's just bonkers. Those numbers are ridiculous, and we shouldn't be upset if there is going to be a downturn. Like you can't like increase value every month forever. Something has to go down, and we're seeing in these little pockets. The index is able to withstand those middle finger grafts because these are more stable cards. They're a little bit more rare. Like they're not going to be as easily, and it's an index, right? Like you can't just like, you can't have the whole thing go way up and way down because there's too many cards, too many variables. But you know, I overall I think like it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if some of this stuff went down.
Good point. Drake's PC says, will cards and sets where the hobby historical significance has recently been recognized, and I'm thinking of like that 81 Topps Larry, and values have risen in turn, continue to see similar demand, or is this just a fad? So I'd throw in cards like Brady's first year Topps Chrome, the 2008 Topps Chrome LeBron and Kobe card. This is from Drake's PC. So these are cards that recently came on. It recently came on hard and strong, and have like gone parabolic very recently. And there's some little story that the card can tell. Oh, this is the 2008 Chrome and it has Kobe and LeBron on it. What a cool card! Or this is the first Topps Chrome of Brady, or this is the first, LeBron Lakers card. I think all those kind of fit into that category.
Yeah.
What do you think about this?
I think it's organic, actually. Like even when you and I came in, there was a lot of cards that, like, I'm looking at one right now. Like I thought the '93 Finest Jordan was just like way too cheap when I came into the market because it was like, the first ever refractor ever made, and people just love refractors, right? So like, why wouldn't they like this one? It made too much sense. And then like 2012 Prism LeBron, it's his first Prism. Prism is a very popular set, and LeBron is kind of like the representation of this era for Prism cards. Like that made sense too. So like, new people point out new things, and then we see these giant jumps because people want to get on the bandwagon and make money from it, and then it sort of like stabilizes, like we were showing, and keeps that sort of upward trajectory because that's the new level at which people accept, okay, yeah, this is kind of cool. Maybe it's not 100x in a week cool, but it is cool, and I like this new idea, and I'm accepting of this new price at some level.
Yeah, I agree. I think also it's partially a byproduct of social media, because social media brings out the extrovert in us as collectors and sports card people. And we need to be able to tell stories and have explanations about why we like cards that go beyond just this card looks cool. Because for me, that was all it really took. A card looks cool to me. I like it. I'll add it to my collection. And then every card has some level of historical significance. Like everything has a story that it could tell, but not everything tells a really clean or desirable or instantly appealing story. So I think like people are discovering stuff because they're discovering the need to be able to explain cards to other people based on referring to and being able to tell a quick elevator pitch for the card. So like your intuition when you came into the hobby, like, man, wait a minute, this card has a great story it can tell. I think that is not a fad. I think that will be a continuing trend, but I think it will be, I think also some of this stuff goes parabolic too quickly. People get too excited about it. There's the novelty factor shoots a little too high, and there will be corrections. But I think that general logic of finding cards that have stories that can be told that make for good elevator pitches, I think that'll continue.
Yeah, I hope it continues because the foundation of the hobby is the storytelling, and it's the card. That's what separates us. I don't want to say us. That's what separates cards from all these other things that keep sprouting up, and all these different even variations of cards, fractional and the investment side of cards. The foundation of cards still to this day, after all these years, 70 plus years of 100 years, whatever, of history, is that these cards they have stories to tell. They tell stories of the athletes, and they're cool looking, and people like to look at them, and they like to own them. They like to hold them and have them in their collection. So I think if you just if you stay rooted in that thought process, I don't think you can lose in cards. You know, like these middle finger graphs and stuff, they stink. So like you have to follow some basic like supply and demand principles and stuff 100xing in a month. Like you just got to follow some basic guidelines to not get destroyed. But if you look at like every one of these graphs, I'll just keep pointing it out. They're like it did this middle finger thing, but look, it's stabilized back on its like normal trajectory of up and right. Just a little bit of a blip in there of like insanity and people losing their minds. But like overall, it's still Michael Jordan's second release of Fleer in a high grade, and it's a cool looking card, and people want it. So like the story of this card, the look of it, none of that went away through the middle finger graph. We didn't lose any of that. We lost sight of the long-term value and history of it, and we wanted to like make a quick buck on it. So that's what this graph tells to me. It doesn't tell me, the history and what I think of the card, except for, this little removal of the blip and the sort of slow up and right trajectory. Does that make sense?
It completely makes sense. Agreed. Card Porn writes, why haven't we experienced the typical dip in sports cards once the season has ended in the case of football? The Brady is strong as ever with one of his BGS 8 Auto 9 championship ticket rookies at Leland's, currently at $1.7 million. So that is true, although that card has been stuck at that price for what feels like weeks now. But I put this in the comments, and I'll raise it here for the audience as well. If you look at the 2000 Bowman Chrome base Brady PSA 10, card got as high as 28,000, maybe a day after the Super Bowl or right around the Super Bowl, and now it's in the $18,000 to $20,000 range, which is a gigantic pullback. So, the championship contenders ticket, kind of hard to map the trajectory on that one. But it is obviously the BGS 8 Auto 9 sale is tremendous, coming on the heels of the PWCC sale. So there's that. But by the same token, a lot of Brady stuff has followed the trajectory that we would have expected it to. It has come back 20 or 30%. Do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I'm just going to lean into your knowledge of this. The only thought is like, we're sort of seeing the off season of sports shrinking because, like the market's becoming more hyper optimized with just like more off season gaps, and just like it's getting harder and harder to play the timing game just because everyone's now thinking the same thing, and also there's just like so many new people that it sort of offsets the any off-season dip there might be as well. I don't know if those are factual. I might need your help to organize that thought, but I don't know.
No, that is look, yesterday when we were preparing the headlines for the card letter email that goes out every day, which takes 3 of the 8 headlines that get published in the newsfeed. The 3 headlines were the Randy Moss Topps Chrome Refractor PSA 10 setting an all-time high, his rookie. Ben Roethlisberger's Topps Chrome PSA 10 rookie refractor setting an all-time high. And Josh Allen Prism Silver PSA 10 rookie setting an all-time high. What the hell are football players doing setting, and not just GOATs, guys from different eras? What the hell are they doing setting all-time highs in the middle of May?
Yeah.
It just goes through.
These prices are staggering, dude. Like the Moss was like a $1,500 card just pretty recently. That's amazing. That's a really high. And the Roethlisberger doing 6,800. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's finally getting the respect it deserves, Chris. Did you ever think of that? When you're going on your little football rant there?
Yeah, that's all I could think in my head was like, man, it's about time football got the respect it deserves. So
I don't know. It's a really low pop fun market. Like, I don't know. It's just, I guess.
Oh yeah, what are the pops on that stuff, dude?
But that's what I was looking at. Like the Moss is 154, but like the Roethlisberger is a pop 16, and then Josh Allen's a pop 23. You know, it's like just silly low pops compared to basketball, especially 2018. You're like, oh, football 2018. You think like, oh, there's 1,000 like there is Luka. There's 23.
They're
So
so
many
low.
less than Luka. Yeah,
They're so low. Silver Prism football is super short printed.
because they did one. I might be wrong on this, but they did like one per box, one silver per box this year. And 2018 in basketball, they're in retail, they're everywhere.
Right on. Bear down, boiler up says football cards are in the second inning.
Oh,
Yes,
God.
yes, sir. All right. Hawks and Habs PC says, what are your thoughts on the Sasha T trade from the latest Dallas show? And so basically the trade was a Charizard Hollow first edition PSA 10 in exchange for a 2003 Topps Chrome X-Fractor LeBron BGS 9, a 2003 Exquisite Patches Autographs Kobe BGS 9.5, the one that's horizontal and number to 100, I think. And there was one other a 2003 Topps Chrome Base LeBron PSA 10, as well as $100,000 cash. Okay, so there I set the table. That was the trade. Now, what are your thoughts on this trade?
So the Charizard was 400,000 in the trade, and that's exactly like what it's valued at, about 400 grand. The Chrome LeBron, I think, was valued at 30, which was fine at the time. Now it's come down since then, but like that makes sense. And then do we have the X-Fractor BGS 9?
We do.
Sweet. So the X-Fractor BGS 9 LeBron 2003 is why isn't that one coming up? 2003 LeBron Topps Chrome X-Fractor. Probably because I'm doing the X-Fractor wrong. BGS 9, there it is. Okay, so we value that one at, it's 91 right now, but I think it was 125 at the time. So we'll say 225, we'll say 250. So they're basically valuing that Kobe Exquisite at 150 grand. Do I need to explain that, or like?
You could say a little bit about that because maybe all of us don't know that much about the exquisite market.
You're making me go down the rabbit hole of like Kobe Bryant right now, which I don't really want to do, but like that is just insanely overpriced on that Kobe Bryant. I think he probably even tell you Sasha paid like 60 grand for it at the last Dallas show. So like to go from 60 to 150 is a giant leap. I'm not sure where they came up with that value. He obviously did very well in the trade. I think the Charizard like destroyed in that trade.
There you go. All right. Thank you for the question. All right. Chasing Exquisite 03 says, I'm curious if you see a dip in online sales logged on Card Ladder when big shows like Dallas happen. And if so, how much does it dip? So good question. Last weekend, sales were, I think Saturday was 1.5 and Sunday was around 2.3 million, which was strong days. If memory serves from during the Dallas show. But damn, I can't believe Dallas was only 6 days ago, the Dallas show. but this week has been a little soft. We had a sales recorded yesterday of about 1.1 million, which is the lowest day since January, mid-January. But a far cry from those days in October and November when it wasn't unusual to see a $300,000 to $400,000 day of sales. And of course, it should be kept in mind that we've been adding thousands of new cards since October and November, so those numbers are not apples to apples. But nonetheless, the market still is, in my estimation, considerably stronger. But I do think it's inevitable that new marketplaces coming up, new shows, weather getting better, people going outside, people doing deals in person, people doing deals on social media. It is inevitable that this is going to drive more and more sales to places other than eBay. And that concerns me. Frankly, that concerns me. And it concerns me because eBay is the mechanism that sets comps. It's not any other marketplace, with the exception of extremely rare items that only sell once in a blue moon. eBay sets the comps. People don't look at other art marketplaces. They don't look up sales histories, eBay is the place. Now, at Card Ladder, we aggregate all types of sources. We have like 10, 11 different auction houses as well as eBay that we pull from. Try to make that convenient for people. But eBay is the place where comps get set. And so if eBay, isn't setting as many comps, if there aren't as many cards selling on eBay, this can become tricky in many ways. First of all, it can become tricky because if there's a less supply of cards for sale on eBay, especially high population cards, it becomes way easier to manipulate the comps. Way easier to corner the eBay market. So we need a steady flow of the supply going to eBay to get an accurate representation of what a card is trading at. So that concerns me. And then on the other end, it concerns me because comps are so important. The comps are how we set prices. And if we can't go to eBay and get pricing information anymore, there is Card Ladder where we pull a lot of different data from a lot of different places. But if you can't go to eBay and get pricing anymore, it's going to hurt the informational transparency of the hobby, which already is not in a great place. So, for example, let's say one Kyrie Prism-based PSA 10 sells for $2,000 on eBay. And then somebody goes to a show and sells 40 at that comp. Would those 40 have all sold for that same price had they been auctioned on eBay on the same day? Like, it's just a lot of this stuff it perplexes me. Let me pass the mic. What do you think about this?
No, I don't really have anything to add, to be honest. Like, you covered it all.
Okay. Something to think about, guys. Breaking Sports says, how do you organize your collection? Player, year, sets?
Let's see. Player. I have like a Penny Hardaway binder, a LeBron binder, and then at the end of that LeBron binder, I have like Jordan stuff and like other random basketball players. So I do it by player just because I always feel like player is the first question you ask in sports cards. So like when I have someone like a friend that's getting into it, the first question I ask is like, what player do you like? So that to me, that's just always kind of the lead way to organize your thoughts on the hobby. What about you?
Same. I have 3 players in my collection, Luka, McCaffrey, and Jordan. And then I have one nice LeBron. And so it's organized by player. And then from within there, it's organized so that when I scroll through the cards, it's a buildup. So my favorite one is last and my least favorite one is first. So, and I could tell you probably the order of the entire display. Let's go on to I think about it too much. Next question here. Let's see. Os Collector says, LeBron James signed with Upper Deck, so when he retires, there will not be any more cards of him in an NBA jersey. Does that make those cards right now similar to Jordan inserts and parallels from the 90s? What do you guys think?
Yeah, like on that, if you're going to compare it that way, then yeah, but keep in mind LeBron also has like a lot more years that he's been playing and a lot more cards. And his rookie year probably has more cards than like a large majority of all of Jordan's cards because he just didn't have as many choices in his first chunk of his career. And so like up until like the late 90s, at the very tail end of his career, he didn't really have many options. So like I would just say yes to that answer, but also you need to have the caveat that like the overall population of LeBron cards is much, much higher.
I think that's a good, fair distinction.
We always need to keep population, market cap. We need to keep that stuff in mind because it's half of supply and demand. If you have a ton of something and it's easier to acquire, the price is going to be lower. So like you can't. That's why I don't really like to hear people blatantly just sort of say that like a generic thing is undervalued. Like, oh, I think all LeBron is undervalued, and it's like, what is that statement based on? Is it based on the fact that like something within his stuff is undervalued because the population's low, or you're just saying that because you just like are never going to think that LeBron is valued properly? Like it's kind of the same way that people talk about certain players, like I don't know, like Donovan Mitchell, Kobe, like where they're just sort of perpetually saying they're undervalued just because they feel slighted or whatever, because they're not Jordan and LeBron. So that's why I take those comments to. I'd like to dig deeper on those and say, like, is there some population, some supply and demand issue you're talking about? Is it like a set that maybe hasn't been discovered? Is there a year of his cards that you feel is nicer looking or something? There's just, you really got to dig in more on the population side.
Yeah, and I don't think it's also a foregone conclusion necessarily that a player not having any more NBA licensed cards after their career ends is necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that needs to be true. I think we see Kobe cards selling extremely well, post-retirement cards. Jordan post-retirement exquisite cards sell extremely well in NBA uniforms. There is an argument to be made that by a player having cards and new products that come out every year, it keeps them a little more relevant. It makes them a little more, appreciated by younger generations of collectors. Imagine if Jordan had a Prism Black 1 of 1 and a Prism Nebula and a Prism Gold that came out every year. Those cards would go for insane amounts of money. So
It would.
I don't know if it's necessarily even I see the logic behind it, but I don't know if it's quite as clean as, there's not going to be as many LeBron, there won't be any LeBron NBA licensed cards that are not made by Upper Deck. So therefore, that the stuff from playing years is undervalued. It might be, but I don't think it's like necessarily true that it works that way. And so one thing I would say is enjoy having LeBron coming out in new products while that still lasts.
Yeah. I'd also point out here, this is gonna be the theme for me of the night, that I feel like we are overthinking some of this stuff in terms of like, is this undervalued? Is this overvalued? Does this price make sense? Is this, little tidbit fact gonna have an impact on the market and the trends and the graphs? Sometimes it just comes down to like, is that card cool and will people like it? It just, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know that it's much more complicated than that. Like your example of the Michael Jordan exquisite stuff, it's like, yeah, it's post-playing years, so like you have to sort of explain that. It's a little bit different. But it's fucking cool. They're just nice looking cards. It's like exquisite is awesome and Michael Jordan is awesome. So like there's gonna be demand. They're just really cool cards. They capture this moment in history where exquisite was the best from 2003 to 2009 and Michael Jordan is the best. So like it's just a product that exists. It's really nice looking. It's really rare, and people really like it. So it just sort of like breaks all these rules that maybe people are trying to get their arms around and stuff. The same for like, if you said Jordan had Prism cards, it's like, yeah, it's technically not like a true card. He didn't have the license, blah, 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 all these different rules. But it's just a sick card, and people just want it. I think that's just like the basis of the whole hobby to me is like, is it a cool looking card? Does it have a story to tell? And do people want it? Do I want to own this thing? And if not, the price will go down. If people want it, the price will go up. I don't, it's like, I'm not really ranting. I'm just sort of trying to remind people that, that's what this whole thing starts from.
Yeah. Good stuff here. Okay.
Nice reaction. Yeah.
Well, I have nothing to add to it, and I don't want to get too hyper about it. Not too high, not too low. I agree. I think that's a fair, sober take on it. I don't know. I mean, I often it gets so confusing because stuff becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and so things that shouldn't be true become true for a period of time, and it becomes very difficult to try and explain that. So I'm going to go with the concision of what you just said, which is that it will be hard to go wrong if you keep it simple and you focus on cards that are great and that you like a lot. Sounds like a pretty good formula to me.
That's my most common answer to the DMs that I get of like, which of these should I buy? It's like, which one do you like better? This one for sure. It's like more rare. I'm like, hey, what are you asking me for? You just said it. You like it better? It's more rare. It's the better player, whatever your reason is. That probably makes sense.
Indeed. And you can always tell the difference, right, between somebody who's like trying out a pitch to see if they can convince somebody versus somebody who really believes it and like would like you to believe it too, but they really don't care if you agree with it or not.
That's a great distinction that you just fell into. That's a really interesting take. I hadn't thought of it that way. It's a very fine line, but you can. I feel like you and I can definitely suss that out at this point. It's a pretty. It's a gray area, fine line, but there's definitely a difference.
For sure. All right, we have lots of questions, so I'm going to try and move through some more of these quickly here. BBBB4391 says 1996 serial numbered cards set things off. 1996 through 1999 was pure art after junk wax and before the jersey card craze. 96
Amen,
to 99
brother.
is the best. Education on this period is needed. New people have no idea. So what do you think about this?
I've been beating that drum for 5 years, friend.
You have.
I mean, that was like the basis of my content for like a good 2 years, I feel like, because I really got into that era through Penny Hardaway and just like discovering all the sets. Jake from 90s B-Ball Cards knows a lot about all that stuff. Grant, Waldorf Stories, Nat Turner collects it. There's a lot of guys that hold down that fort, and it's an awesome era. Yourself, like, there's freaking amazing cards in there, and it helps for sure that it was led by Arena Design, where they were coming up with the vast majority of those designs, and it was just like a design-led, innovative time to create cards, and it's like that nice little window between junk wax and jersey auto, and it's awesome. It's just like a really awesome period. I'm big on eras in cards, like these little windows, because they tell these stories and they're historic. And I think that, you know, you could say the same thing about art, because art has like different, I don't know like the proper term for like art, but like they go through different like eras of art, you know, like God, I'm just gonna totally fuck this up, like you know, like like the old Italian art, and then it went through like a more modern art. Like they've got these different things. I feel like cards have that same thing, and that 96-99 window is one of my favorites.
Totally agree. Great period. So on that topic, Putnam Card says he said most iconic 90s basketball card inserts, because people keep it short when they send the messages to my story. So most iconic 90s basketball card inserts, maybe 2 of them, 1, 2, 3, something like that.
Oh, Jambalaya, Cut Above. Let's just look at Michael Jordan cards, 1997.
I mean, Jambalaya is definitely up there. It's also, I think probably the Kobe and the Jordan are going to be in 6 figures for gem copies, and they're going to be strong 5 figures for everything else. So like those are getting cost prohibitive quickly.
I mean, take your pick, man. There's a bunch. There's a lot. You know, it's not like you can just rattle off 5 and be right or wrong in that scenario. There's so many. But I mean, the Jambalaya is just like one of the more popular ones. Also, the distinction between inserts and parallels is important, even though most people don't care to know the difference, or they just sort of spout off that like inserts means 90s cards, which isn't true. But
yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because we're going to answer this question from the technical point of view of what is an insert, and we're not going to mention parallels. But parallels, you know, a lot of people I believe, are actually the best cards to come out of the 90s, even more desirable than inserts. So what's the difference between inserts and parallels?
So parallel it's in the word. It's a parallel to the actual base. So like the base from 97 Metal Universe was the 1997 Metal Universe Jordan. There's a base copy of that same card. So this is the design. This is what it looks like. The parallel is basically this, but red. You know, it's like a more rare, usually, variant of the base. So like Prism Silver is a parallel. You know, orange is a parallel, because they have the same look as the base. They just have some variation to it. And an insert is usually where different creative things come out, and it's like a totally different offshoot that's literally inserted into the packs at some sort of pack odds. amongst the other base cards. So you'll pull a bunch of base cards, you'll get the same, you'll build the set 1 through 300, all the players at the base. And then there'll be a random insert, usually of like 10 to 20 players, usually better players, and it'll be like a unique looking card that stands out, and you literally are like, oh, it looks like someone inserted this into the pack separate from all these other cards. Did I miss anything?
You nailed it. And also the two are characterized by aesthetic differences. Inserts have themes. They have very, sometimes extravagant designs, whereas parallels have to stay true to what the base card looks like, but they just embellish it in some way. Sometimes subtle, sometimes not so subtle. And then there's yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say there's parallels to inserts in the modern stuff.
That's what I was just going to say too. Then there's this third category to make things complicated further. Inserts have parallels. Not many, but like some people in the chat were mentioning Ultra Stars Gold as one of the most iconic insert sets. It is. Ultra Stars Gold is a parallel to an insert set, the insert set being Ultra Stars. So like, it's not that complicated once you're in the world and you just think in those terms, but like all these categories can be a little bit much at the start.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of like, I collect 90s inserts and then they show you a bunch of parallels and you're like, these aren't inserts. Like, yeah, it's like 90s, this is how you collect 90s. And like, well, I know what you're trying to say, but you're technically wrong.
Maybe we could have card ladder flashcards. And like on the front is like a picture of an insert or parallel, and then you have to guess. And then you flip it around and it tells you what it is.
I feel like that would be a pretty fun pop quiz, even for you and me. We'd probably mess a few, because like if you were to make that quiz, you would go find the ones that are like actually pretty tough to figure out. Like this one, trick question. This one is actually a parallel to the insert.
Indeed. Right. Okay. So we've got Jambalaya. We've got Ultra Stars. Noise Boys was mentioned.
Yep.
Golden Touch. You were pulling up a couple of the Golden Touches. That one had a back-to-back 2-year run. Big Men on Court.
Platinum Medallion, right, Chris? Is that an insert?
Platinum Medallion is not an insert, sir.
I know.
Nice try. So that's a few, but knock yourself out on Card Ladder. You can find dozens and dozens of different insert sets on there. Thrill Seekers. There's just so many. Okay. Great. Good question, Putnam. Love that. Can't talk enough about 90s. And let's go with one more 90s question here. This one comes from the aforementioned Jake, 90s b-ball cards. I'd love to hear you guys talk about how currently, just like Prism is king for modern, Chrome is king for 90s. But back in the 90s, Finest was preferred over Chrome until late 1997 and early 1998. And then Jake sent over some evidence showing that Iverson and Kobe's Finest rookie cards sold for more than their Chrome rookie cards, according to Beckett book values. So what's true today can change over time, and it is not always a fact forever. What do you think about that?
Yeah, he's right. It's a fun debate. The Finest to Chrome one has always been fascinating to me, because there's not really like something you can point to that shows why it happened. I mean, maybe it's just that like 96 Topps Chrome became more popular based on the card design or the photography. I'm not sure if that plays a part in it, but I don't know. It just sort of like shifted at one point where, because Finest came out first. Finest came out in 93, and Topps Chrome wasn't until 96, so it had a good 3-year head start. And maybe like Chrome being out for a couple years, people just ended up liking that one more, and it just sort of stuck. I'm not sure that there's really a great reason. That's why I still really like buying Finest cards, because I don't really see Chrome being better looking or more desirable for me personally. So I kind of treat them equally, but I do understand it's pretty obvious that people value Chrome a lot more than Finest.
Yeah, and it's not just relative to Chrome that Finest has lagged. It's relative to a lot of different sets. So I look back at old Beckett magazines from time to time. The 97, it's like, now let's talk about the Grails for a second. The 97-98 Gold Embossed Refractors from Finest used to be more in book value than the PMGs were. That used to be true. The Gold Embossed refractors used to be more valuable than PMGs. Now PMGs are 5x the value of Gold Embossed refractors. So there's another instance where Finest has just lagged behind. Maybe Finest just hasn't gotten its due. Moving on, unless you have any other thoughts on this topic.
Not really.
All right. Mostly 90s basketball cards writes in. Would you rather read off your social security number or your eBay saved searches?
God. I mean, my eBay save searches are pretty predictable to me.
LeBron Gold.
LeBron Gold, LeBron Auto, LeBron Exquisite, LeBron Refractor, LeBron Prism Gold. Yeah, it's like you could probably just like rattle them off right now.
How often do you check your save searches?
I don't know, 20 times a day.
Wow. Yeah, I usually just check them once at like 4 a.m. right now when I'm not in a buying mode.
Once a day? Do you even collect cards, bro?
Dude, if I checked them more than once a day, I'd be having a Christian McCaffrey mail day every day.
Look at this, Chris. Look. Finest is closing the gap.
Which two cards were we looking at here?
96 Finest and Topps Chrome PSA 9 refractors of Kobe. So these would be the equivalents of each other, Chrome versus Finest. And the Finest is closing the gap.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the Kobe Finest rookie cards are so sick. Whether it's the bronze apprentices or the gold one, they both look awesome.
Maybe it hurts that Finest made multiple and Chrome had the simpler choice of just the, refractor. And then Finest had the gold, the bronze. I don't know if that plays a part necessarily. Like the Finest kind of split the attention and the value across, and then Chrome just sort of like had it figured out. I don't know. But I feel like that would hold true because Prism has so many fucking parallels and Optic has a lot but a lot less. So I don't know if that really stands true there.
But only one base. But Select has tiers similar to Finest. So
True.
Finest with the peel too, man. I just wish that whole peel era would have never happened.
What? I love the peel.
I mean, I actually don't, because it makes the market really difficult. People don't list their crap properly, whether it has a peel or no peel.
Yeah.
It's annoying. From my little corner of the hobby, it's frustrating to deal with.
You and just you don't like it.
All right, this question comes in from Social Card Work. Back to the market for a second here. It feels like things are priced higher because people think they should be.
Yes. Amen.
When do you think things will lose steam? I weirdly get worried whenever my card ladder balance spikes.
Yeah, dude. Awesome. Great question. You're right. The truth will always be revealed through the comps. Like, people will eventually send stuff to auction and the true price will be revealed. The thing that bothers me the most is when something sells at auction, the comp is set, and someone tries to sell it for higher than that comp within a reasonable amount of time. Like, it drives me absolutely insane. Like, my card literally just sold for $100,000 at auction, and you're telling me it's worth $200,000 today because why? Oh, because mine's a better copy. That auction sucked. The timing was bad, whatever. And it's just like, okay, whatever. You're just mad that the truth is coming out and your card actually isn't worth the price you've been quoting around to everybody because the comp has been set through the auction.
Great point. That is amazing that I don't know, people just don't want to just sell at the market price. This is almost like, why are you selling? if you're not gonna sell it at the comp. Yeah, we just had a little rant about how important comps are, and data's getting dispersed everywhere. There's more marketplaces popping up. It might get even more dispersed. You really need your card ladder account more than ever. No, that was a shameless plug. But this is things that I worry about. I really, really worry about how do we figure out what stuff's worth if we don't have a common source of knowledge to base it on. And I'll give an anecdote. A big, I'm not going to name the card because I don't want to name anybody. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but a big Jordan card, big insert, sold twice privately in the last few months for a 5-figure amount, and then it ran at auction last week and it sold for less than 5 figures. And so, you know, these cards rarely sell. They're changing hands privately. The sellers want a pretty penny, and then, you know, a couple guys buy them. Suddenly the demand dries up for the card a bit, and then we get a comp, and the comp is small compared to price. Now the comp was still an all-time high, but nobody saw these private deals take place, and you know, people. So it just kind of goes to your point about how, I don't know. There's a lot of aggressive sellers right now. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's what makes me nervous. Like what you just said, where people are holding cards at unrealistic prices, saying things like, "Well, you know, whatever. I just won't sell. I'll just wait till Golden gets one of these, and you'll see the comp will be set at what I want it to be, based because Golden will just do it. They'll just make it happen." And you're just sort of like you're trying to create facts through what you say, and you just like try to raise the price of something just through your own words, and it just drives me crazy. It's like you can't just like will the card to be double the value of what it just sold for because you want it to be that high. If you want to sell it, then let's talk about like a true fair market value. Now, if you want to hold it and you don't want to sell it right now and you just want to list it at that price and in hopes that like you know, the price does go up and you wouldn't have to change your price, your set price or whatever on eBay. You don't have to go and update it. So you've had it at that price. I understand that side, but to like try to aggressively sell things at 2x market is just disingenuous to me.
Good. Cards and Candy 911 says, what happened to all the Tyler Hero fanboys?
Seriously? I mean, calling them fanboys is very generous to those folks that were hyping them. I call them hype beasts.
What happened to them all?
People got bored and moved on to the next rookie class, and nobody revisited the fact that his stuff is probably like tanking right now, and nobody's interested in it anymore. Like that happens to literally like 95% of athletes.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. 13 Publius 13 writes in, there was an auction ending Wednesday night on an item I really wanted, a Pop 2. To visualize my win and rest my trigger finger, I elected to take a power nap. I woke up 4 hours after the auction ended. Absolutely heartbreaking. I let my team down, I let my city down, and I let my PC down. Can you share an experience where you missed out on a rare item that you have not been able to acquire since?
I can't think of anything specifically, really, but like that happens to me all the time where like I get the 15-minute notification and then I'm like, okay, I'm doing these 4 other things with my phone, but I'm definitely going to remember. And then 20 minutes later, I'm like, oh God, and I go in there and the auction's ended. That happens all the time. It's fucking annoying. eBay needs I think I showed you, they added like the remind me at 1 minute mark, and it comes up sometimes, but I feel like they need to just do like 15, 5, and 1, or have it like configurable in your account where I could be like, I want it at 15, I want it at 5, and I want it at 1 on every card.
Yeah, is that too much to ask?
No.
I don't think so.
That happens to me a lot with like rare penny stuff, like Ultra Stars Gold or like a Jambalaya, where I'm like, I'm gonna win this tonight, and then I just like miss the auction. It's so annoying.
If there's any words of comfort for our friend 13 Publius 13, that money finds ways to spend itself in short order.
So someone in the chat said, You need to have your watch on your phone and eBay on the iPad. Level up, my man. That's right. It's my fault. I'm not making excuses. You're right. Fucking get better or suck off.
I don't know. Or, eBay can make both sides have a point. Slim P79 says, I'm trying to understand pop control. I hear people talk about certain cards that are almost impossible to grade as 10s now because PSA and maybe other grading companies are trying to control the population. For example, the 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan. Do you believe in population control? And if so, would a company like PSA even care about the population of a card? I don't get it.
They definitely care about the population of a card because they don't want to flood the market with PSA 10 Jordans. Now, that said, I'll leave that one there first. Second is I'm not we can't prove that they're like intentionally picking a lower grade, but I think it's kind of like when your team is up by 30, you just don't play as hard. Like in this case, like this is kind of a stretch of a comparison, but like when the card is like super valuable, you're going to be way more strict on it. You're just going to like look it over a little bit harder. You know what's in your hands, so you like feel the weight of it when you're grading a super high-end card like a 86 Fleer, and you're like, if it was a cheaper card and you're literally 50-50 on whether this is a 10 or a 9, you're like, yeah, whatever, it's 10. And then on the Jordan, you're like,
Said me or Josh?
wants to play worse when they're up by 30. It just sort of happens. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And grading companies would lose something, confidence maybe or something. They're very leery, I think, of seeing cards in their slabs that have value because of the perceived condition scarcity and the perceived condition sensitivity based on how strictly they've graded it in the past. They're very conscientious of how if there's a change in grading standard or if they suddenly increase the population significantly, that it's going to decrease the value of the cards in their slabs. And that just doesn't create the right type of momentum. Grading companies don't want to see cards in their slabs going down in value because not everybody can realize that the reason why is because the supply has increased. So I think they're conscientious of that, and they feel a sense of loyalty to their customers. You don't want to grade a card with PSA. It's worth $1,000 when you get it as a PSA 10. You hold it for a year. PSA issues a bunch more 10s, and then it's worth $100. That might discourage you from wanting to send cards in to get graded with PSA. Now, in fairness, that's going to happen with a lot of modern cards. Like what I'm saying is more applicable to vintage and 90s and stuff, but I think these are considerations as well. What do you think?
Definitely, man. I mean, the elephant in the room that people want to like make a dramatic story about is like, are they intentionally giving lower grades no matter what the card looks like? That's the one that I would really hope they're not doing that. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that's not happening, and they are sort of more subconsciously doing it, like I was stating earlier. But yeah, you're right. Like, there's definitely a sense of like, yeah, let's not give a bunch of 10s out to 86 Fleers that are like iffy 10s, or they're like on the edge. Let's not just start handing out more 10s because that's going to diminish the value of like what that card means in a PSA slab. We know that, so we're not going to be stupid about this.
Yeah, and a side note on grading, there are a lot of new graders, and there are a lot of tough grades coming out right now. It's been tough. It's been tougher to gem cards lately. And one of the explanations I think has to be that new graders are just going to be stricter because, they have to report to senior graders, and they would much rather undergrade a card and the senior grader says, oh, you were a little too strict, than overgrade a card. And then the senior grader says, what are you doing? This should never have been a 10 or a 9 or whatever. So I think a little bit of that is happening right now too. People getting their PSA orders back. Like, I don't know. Some people are jumping to the conclusion that PSA is just always going to be more strict or something. I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I think we're going through, as Brett from Stacking Slabs called it, growing pains in the hobby right now. What do you think about this?
Yeah, it's definitely tougher, and the question might come up of like, isn't it kind of lame that their variable of how tough a card to grade changes over time and it's not consistent? It's like you're in a basketball game and the ref isn't consistent with his calls. It's like, we'd rather you just be consistent. Are you going to be calling all fouls, or are you going to be like letting stuff go? I just would rather you be consistent. But to ask consistency of something that has so much variable to it, and like just the fact that humans grade it, there's different humans. Those humans get fired, they hire new ones, they move on, different companies. It's just there's so many different variables over the years that it's impossible to expect like a perfect non-variable consistency of grading. Whereas in a basketball game, it's like it's 3 refs for 1 hour, 2 hours of basketball. I think we can expect you to be consistent. This is like years and years and years, millions and millions of cards. It's just not really reasonable to expect 100% consistency on all that stuff. There's just going to be differences. That's just human nature.
Definitely. All right. I think that's a good question to wrap up hour 1 on. And we will be back for hour 2 in 120 seconds. Does that sound good to you, buddy?
Yeah, we need to lighten it up, dude. Those are all really educational questions, but I'm exhausted.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll take it easier for hour 2, guys. See you guys back here in 2 minutes. Welcome back, guys. Boom.
Dude, we're like Instagram pros now, bro.
Getting better?
We're getting better. What's up with your Mavs, dude?
They're playing pretty well. Pretty happy with them.
Porzingis kind of sucks.
Dude, he was bad tonight. He's just on and off a lot.
He's just not the superstar that we thought he might have been with New York, I don't think.
That is definitely true. That is without a doubt true. You'd like to say, what if he could put together 2 or 3 seasons without an injury?
Yeah.
The point has been made that he's been injured every offseason for 3 straight years. So
Yeah.
he doesn't have any chance to add anything to his game. He doesn't have a chance to improve. So you wonder, where would he be? But by the same token, the reality might just be that he's a guy who's going to be injured a lot, which is not atypical of players of that size and stature and frame. So maybe it just is what it is.
Yeah, he's a solid player. You just got to adjust your expectation of him.
Yeah. No, he's all right, though. I'm higher on him than most. I'm definitely higher on him than most. But he has to be healthy, or else it's all a moot point.
Yeah, I don't watch the Mavs as much as you, so I'll defer. I look at a box score like tonight. It's like 11 points in 34 minutes. Come on.
No, that's an interesting stat because that was against the Clippers game, and Porzingis. That was the first time this year that Porzingis had more rebounds than points in a game, which is a good sign, because they need a guy who can get some rebounds. Like Enes Kanter tonight, was the difference. He got a bunch of offensive rebounds and got second chance points that made the difference. And this has been the Mavericks' weakness for 2 years in a row. They don't have that. You don't need anybody crazy, but they don't have that Dwight Howard, that Clint Capella, that guy who can just be this beast down low and get Enes Kanter even. God, they could even use a guy like that.
Is rebounding the most undervalued stat in basketball?
Charles Barkley would certainly say so.
Nobody talks about rebounding, or it's just sort of like assumed that you're gonna have tall guys and they're gonna get rebounds. but like rebounding is definitely a skill that requires effort and skill, right? Like you can't just fall into rebounds in the NBA. You can't just be tall and get rebounds. Just ask Brooke Lopez. That dude averages like 6 rebounds a game and he's 7 feet tall.
Remember in The Last Dance when they showed Dennis Rodman and all he would practice was just rebounds, and he would have guys go, he'd be like, shoot the ball off the rim at the craziest angle and let me just practice getting the rebound. I mean, rebounders are really important, especially getting the defensive rebounds that you need to get. You know, when the Mavs keep giving up these offensive rebounds, giving teams second, third chances, and those are the ones that just absolutely kill you.
Yeah, it's a definitely like a backbreaker type feeling when you give up an offensive rebound after a long defensive possession. It's like, God, now we got to, you don't have to start over anymore, but still, like, you got 14 more seconds of defense, and it's literally it's like a turnover. It's like I just lost this possession.
Yeah, no, it's a killer. Speaking of Rodman, I just saw that I have this sitting here, so might as well show it.
There you go.
Full Court Trap, 1996 Ultra Rodman. Just
I was
cause.
watching YouTube like all day yesterday, and I was watching Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo break down The Last Dance. That's really good content, by the way. It was really good. And Ryan Russillo has a take that I feel like I've been afraid to say out loud because everyone I think Rodman was like not that great. Like all he could do was rebound. If you watch those games, he's obviously a fantastic rebounder, great defender. But he was like, people are calling him like a surefire Hall of Famer, and like he's the reason the Bull. It's like, I don't know about any of that. Like the dude, like every time he touched the ball, looked like he was holding a hot potato. Like, get this out of my hands.
Yeah. Well, I remember when the Bulls signed him, nobody else wanted him, and that may have been for good reason. But he was important to the Bulls when he left the team for those few days, and Michael Jordan himself went to go retrieve him from the hotel room.
But in what other world or team or scenario would you let that happen? Like, do we just give him a free pass because he has crazy hair? Why did he get a free pass?
I don't know, man. He must, he was just he's a very eccentric guy. Very, very eccentric guy.
But just go watch that. Ryan Russillo is just like, he feels the way I do, where he's saying it and he's like, I'm gonna get destroyed on the internet, but like, I don't know why we let this fucking guy get a free pass all the time. I think his story is played out at this point. We know who he is. He's Dennis Rodman. He's a crazy person, and he gets all this attention because of that. But like, was he a surefire Hall of Famer? I don't know.
No, I think that's too strong. But it was funny because the episodes came out. This is a Rodman episode. This is a Pippen episode. This is this episode, Phil Jackson episode, and like everybody had their reactions to the players episode. I remember Russillo's reaction, and then Bill Simmons had a different one. Bill Simmons was like, the Bulls weren't going to win against the Orlando Magic without having a rebounder type of guy.
Because they lost Horace Grant.
Because they lost Horace Grant, and they needed that play. And it does speak to how important having that role player really is.
Well, of course. Like, he's clearly like important to the team. It's just like some people want to put him on this threesome of like Pippen, Rodman, and Jordan. It's like, it was mostly Jordan. Pippen was awesome. Rodman was definitely the role player third guy. And they were talking about how in the 90s, relative to today, the third option on a team scoring-wise was just like a massive drop-off relative to today. So like, and people are like, why did Jordan shoot so much? And it was like, dude, their third option was literally freaking like Ron Harper and Dennis Rodman, like not offensive-minded players. He had to shoot the ball.
Yeah, and the team scored, in the 80s and 90s regularly. And now we have more scoring, we have more scorers, and teams are scoring in the 110s and the 120s regularly. Like just scoring is a very different thing now than it was.
Yeah.
For sure.
You can't be on the court today if you can't score.
No. You need to at least be able to shoot threes at a 33% clip and be a great defender.
Would Rodman be able to play on an NBA team right now?
Wow. That's an interesting question. I don't know. Would he have developed like a little PJ Tucker style corner three or something? I don't know.
I always think that like people are like saying that Shaq couldn't play today or like Rodman couldn't play, but they would those guys are super talented and athletic. They would figure out, they would adjust. They're not just gonna like blindly play the way they played in the 90s. It doesn't make any sense. They're in a different era. They would adjust to their surroundings, right? You're a product of your surroundings to a certain extent. So like they would obviously figure some other things out. They're not just gonna stand there and fucking not shoot.
No, I mean, they're both like forces in nature too who would make the game bend to them, but they might not be as dominant as they were during their eras.
Have you seen the footage of Shaq on TNT where he like clearly doesn't understand like switch defense and like pick and roll? Did you see that?
You mean every night? No, I'm just joking. No, I haven't seen that any particular clip to that effect.
He was saying something like, "Why don't they just pre-switch?" And then Dwayne Wade and Candace Parker, Lefko was hosting that one, and those two were like, because they could just swing the ball and hit an open three-point shooter in the corner. And he was
Right.
like, well, just like he basically was like, just man up, just guard your guy. And they're like, but they pick and roll and you have to switch. And he's like, well, I just pre-switch. I'll stay with my man. Yeah, but they'll just like run a double pick and they force you to switch. You have to make a decision. Well, no, he's basically like, I wouldn't let that happen. You don't have a choice.
Yeah, but I really don't want it to happen.
I really just want to guard my guy and you guard your guy. He's like, this isn't the 90s where it's one-on-ones. It's like pick and roll, switch defense. Like, this is how it goes. And there's always a guy in the corner spread out ready to shoot a three so that if you leave your man and you come double with someone, okay, now there's shooters ready to shoot the ball. Or in the 90s, there's a guy standing in the corner doing nothing.
Yeah, and then here's reverse. What about guys like Reggie Miller, who would have been excellent in today's game? They're more fitted to today's game.
Interesting. Yep. Yeah, that's why when you're comparing players and stuff, it's just better to stick in the era. It's just like a more consistent argument. It's really hard to say. Like it's pretty obvious Shaq would have some serious adjusting to happen, and he was so dominant that like he would definitely be a good player today. Would he be the same? Probably not. And like you said, but there's cases where it's the reverse, where guys would be better today.
Yeah. Giannis. Giannis is a decent Shaq comp, right? Like,
dude, he would be incredible in the 90s.
Yep, exactly. Now he is. He's like straight out of the 90s.
He's a guy that like would have just been an absolute monster beast like Shaq in the 90s, and then we would have been saying about him, man, could he play in today's NBA? And I feel like the Giannis we have today is kind of what, it's like, yeah, look, he's adjusting, he's shooting a little bit more, and he's trying to figure it out.
True. All right, let me rifle through some more questions. Thank you to everybody who sent them in. We'll go through these more rapid fire. Flippity Flip Card says, will Beckett return to relevance after grading the Luka Logo Man in a BGS submission?
I'm not sure that they ever left relevance, but it definitely like gets them back in the news, that's for sure. And there's been some more positive signs that you've pointed out, because we were pretty harsh on them for a good month, or so there.
Yeah, no, we gave Beckett some, on the whole, we've been even-handed. I think we've given Beckett a fair shake.
I think we gave them advice that they maybe used.
Maybe. Putnam Card says, at the Dallas show, I really got to see how much garbage is out there. Is this the junk slab era?
I think so. I think we're in the junk slab era, especially with all these new grading companies. All that stuff's going to be absolute garbage in 10 years. Hot garbage. Like, think about a Justin Herbert HGA 9.0 Mosaic card. That is hot garbage in 10 years.
All right, here's some of the grading companies.
You're laughing because I'm right.
I know. Look, here's some of the grading companies that have come and go. Some still exist, actually. All right, but here's just a partial list. You obviously have PSA, BGS, and SGC. You have GMA, still around. You have SCD, no longer with us. GAI, CEX, FGS, PGI, CSA, KSA, EGS, AGS,
Are you serious?
BSG, CGC, this is a new one, CSG, new one, HGA, new one, TFA, PGA, not the golf circuit, AGA, DCS, CGI, and ISA. And why do I know all these?
I don't know, because you're a psycho.
Why do I know all these, Christina?
Because we have to build search queries to take
Oh,
So I've
dude,
literally seen all of those slabs at least once.
dude, literally every single one of those was a 3-letter acronym, right? Every single
Yep.
one.
Every single one. They're all 3-letter.
So all you got, what the fuck? Someone make a different non-3-letter acronym.
That might be the key to breaking through. As the
I'm
new
just gonna be
grading
like,
company.
we are. It's like if you actually say that 4th letter, people will be like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 easy there, buddy. What are you doing? 4 letters? I can't even remember all that shit."
I also didn't mention elite because I can't put them on our exclusions because sometimes people use the word elite to describe their elite card.
Here's what I think of Elite Grading Company. I don't even heard, dude. I hadn't heard of any of those except for like the top 6 or 7.
And then there's a new one I found when was adding Stan Lee Marvel cards to the card ladder today. Mint, MNT, mint grading. Hate whoever named that for life because I can't exclude you because lots of people describe their card as mint. People are enjoying your gesture.
I feel bad for that company if they're like legitimately trying.
We're just having fun, guys.
The real business is the people who make the like slabbing technology that all these companies are buying from
The real business are people making the plastic and the
the
machine.
suppliers. Those guys are cleaning up. They're like, how many plastic cases do you want? 10 million? Whatever. Yeah, fill the order.
Exactly. All right. Another question here. This comes from Social Card Work again. I know you guys hate the what should I buy questions, but hear me out. Always off to a good start with
People
that.
do that to me now. They're like, I know you hate this and you're going to hate me, but I'm going to ask anyways.
but that doesn't stop. But that doesn't discourage me. I don't care
I'm
if
like-
you hate me. Just answer my question. All right. He says, my daughter got into Brown University. Congratulations. While receiving lots of financial aid, our tab is still $35,000. Want to use card profits as much as possible. $1,000 in seed money. What do you do? So I just want to say a couple things on this. Number one, how dare you threaten to take money out of the hobby to pay for something as silly as a college education? I'm going on record with that one first. You got your priorities all mixed up, buddy.
Stop laughing. Don't smile. People think you're joking. You need to make that a dead serious fucking statement. Don't take money out of the hobby for college.
That's there, but on a more serious note, this is something that concerns me. There are consequences if enough people start seeing the hobby as just like a means to an end, rather than something that is a long-term store of value. So I'm gonna flip my way to 35 grand, and then take that money out of the hobby. All right, well, you've just reduced the size of the industry by doing that. It doesn't help. Does not. It hurts the industry. It's marginal, but it hurts the industry. And if enough people think that way, then it can become pronounced. The other thing too is companies capture more and more of the gains of this industry. Josh and I were talking about this a little bit earlier this week. Is companies capture more and more of the gains, and so like when cost of grading goes up. And now more of the money that used to go to collectors and flippers who then put it back into the hobby, now these gains are being captured. They're going to employees at grading companies, and those people are not buying cards with those gains. They're paying bills and mortgages and stuff. So like as those gains get captured more and more, money is being taken out of the hobby that otherwise would have been in. I think about these things. So I would just say be conscientious of that. You know, we're professionals in the sports card industry. And so, you know, when people use it as just a stepping stool to some other means, nobody really likes to hear that their industry is just being used and abused. No, you know, so that's the serious side of it. But the other side of it is congratulations. Obviously, going to Brown University is amazing, and we don't give investment advice, but I did want to say congrats. Do you have any other thoughts on this topic?
I thought there was going to be some question of, do I buy this or this? Where was it? I missed it.
It was. I have $1,000 in seed money. I need to pay a $35,000 bill. How do I do it?
Probably go to Harry Potter school and figure out how to learn magic, because you can't just make $1,000 into $35,000.
There you go.
Harry Potter school? Really?
Yeah, what do you call it? He went there. It's like the movie. It's his school. It's his movie. It's not called Hogwarts movie. It's called Harry Potter movie.
That with the semantics of Harry Potter, a new frontier is breached.
Aren't there Harry Potter cards people are trying to hype right now? I bet you
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I thought somebody was talking about Harry Potter cards the other day. I couldn't place it, but I was like, wow, there's a Harry Potter reference. YTMN cards. F, marry, or kill. Player worn relics, sticker autos, wave parallels.
God, what? I can't kill all three of them. Hold on. Mary F. Kill.
How about he spells Mary Mary?
That's probably my fault.
No, that's why I'm making fun of you.
Oh, okay.
Just read them again. Read the three options again.
Player worn relics, player worn relic cards, sticker autos, wave parallels.
God. Kill sticker autos. I hate those. That's a definite kill. F, the wave, whatever, because I'm not sure where I'm going with that. And then marry the player worn. I'm not as bothered by player worn as most people. It doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Because if I wanted to buy game worn stuff in my cards, I would be buying game worn jerseys and shoes and stuff. I don't know. Like, I get that people are gonna shit on me for that take, but it just doesn't bother me as much.
Yeah, there's that take is very political, and it's very strategic. Like, people believe that, like, don't ever take the foot off the neck of the manufacturers and let them think that they can only do player worn.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I get it.
You know, so like there's like layers to that argument that go beyond just like, well, I don't really mind that much. Yeah, but you cannot say that, right? But you can't say that and give the companies permission. So I see Carbon is in the chat. Carbon has made some great points about sticker autos in our clubhouse sessions. Sticker autos have a better chance of not evaporating over time compared to cards that were signed where the autograph was put on cards that have coating. So there's something to like about sticker autos. There's a chance of them preserving.
Don't they also have a better grading return because they haven't been like packaged, shipped, handled, shipped again, like, and then handled again? Like, so there's a better grading
it's a good point.
return, I guess I would call it.
It's a good point.
Sticker auto.
All right, Christina. So F, marry, kill. Player worn relic cards, sticker autos, wave parallels. Do you know how this game works?
No.
All right, let's move on.
I'm so glad you did that, because I was like, I do not want to watch this play out right now.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
King's Angels 22 simply writes in collecting over investments.
Oh my god. I need my little notes. I've been talking about it all night. Like, using the collector mindset, and we talked about it in our video, like, using the collector mindset, I feel, has a better success rate, even for the investor. Like, if your primary goal when you come into the hobby as an investor, if you actually like get into the hobby the quote unquote right way, and you like learn the sets, you get to know the people, you get into the community, you start to study and research how it works. I feel like a lot of those people are going to be converted into collectors because they're going to realize how like fun it is and why it is. And just insert quote here. It's like I'm not going to even try right now, but like the hobby is.
I know the quote now. I know it now. I'm good.
For it.
We don't like sports cards because they're good investments. They're good investments because we like sports cards.
There you go. Yeah, that's the theme of the night for me, man. Like, I'm not saying because like the next thing people are gonna say is like, oh, you want to shit on investors, and you can't just say collectors are the only way. There's room for both, and it's true. Like, there is definitely a space for both. My point is just, if you maybe lead with the collector mindset, you'll actually be more successful on both fronts.
Yeah. Yep. And there's some good tidbits on this in the new sports cards culture. We go into this a little bit more. So plug for that. This comes from mostly 90s basketball cards. Will the following players make the Hall of Fame? Paul George.
No.
Jimmy Butler.
Yes.
Dwight Howard.
Yes.
Pau Gasol.
Yes.
BCW Card Break says, did NBA Top Shot come about because the NBA was losing money without fans in attendance?
That's a really good theory. I like that.
Riverfront Collectibles says, why are people dumping Top Shots? Is the market crashing?
Yeah. It's your turn, Chris. I'm not answering that shit.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That the momentum is lower than it was a month ago. Some influential people have seen their Top Shot collections get much smaller very quickly. I don't know. I don't know where that's going. Carvin says the crossover is above Clubhouse because he loves the collectors here more.
Dude, I'll tell you where it's going.
Where's it going?
Like,
Chris Brown meme.
is that even from that song?
I don't know what that's from.
Because I always think of Chris Brown song, down, 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 down. And I just post the meme of him sort of like dancing in a downward motion.
What's wrong, Christina? What's your beef here? Oh, someone's talking poop about Luka.
Luka's not even a top 10 player.
Ooh.
That you could not say that when Christina's present.
Boy.
All right, more questions.
Luka needs to go to Harry Potter school, you know what I mean?
Hogwarts?
Hogwarts? You just said that weird.
I know, it sounded so weird.
Hogwarts?
I'm not going to say that word again.
Hogwarts.
Hogwarts.
KT Sports Cards 04. I'm just going to give this question a platform, but we don't have to answer this. Rank your top 5 soccer cards of all time.
Oh man,
not value, but what you like.
I couldn't even name 5 soccer cards, man.
Mia Hamm.
Well, Christina says Mia Hamm. What's the one you were looking at, the upper deck? 1990 or something?
No, but it was I was looking at no, because then everyone's gonna go buy it when I'm trying to get it.
But all right,
I like the sticker. I like the stickers better for soccer. I think it has more history. Yeah. I sort of like the concept of it being more like organically built into the market versus like trying to hype Prism into soccer just because you feel like it, and like making up rookie years. I hate that shit. Oh, this is like his first World Cup Prism. What? Get out of here! It's like his 3rd year in the world. Don't do that. The sticker one is like it's a real thing. Like they actually collect stickers in soccer in other countries. So there you go. There's my little hot take on soccer. Focus on the history of it.
Good. Some people in the chat are naming soccer. Their favorite soccer card is Michael Jordan's soccer card.
Jeez, come on.
And Carbon says the Mia Hamm is the 1994 World Cup.
That's the upper deck.
Yes.
rookie
Let's talk
card.
about LaMelo.
Also has
Let's
an
talk about.
Nike 2 Sports Illustrated for kids.
Yeah, they said that in the
Punch out.
chat too. Why don't you read the chat?
Because
Can we talk
I'm
about-
working.
All right, yeah, let's talk about LaMelo. What do you want to say about LaMelo?
I watched him. I watched a full game of LaMelo last night. I was impressed, man. He's good.
He is good. Here's a fun stat about LaMelo that I heard on a podcast. He is top 5 in the NBA in deflections.
Interesting. He is like a spaz. He's like super like neurotically energetic. Like he's all over the place. So that's why, you say deflections, and I think of guys who are just sort of in passing lanes, sort of like going crazy, getting their hands on balls, and it's just like that's totally him. He's just like he's way more athletic than I thought he would be. I'll say that as well.
Yep. And
Way more.
He's
He is like
polished, you know?
he's Polish, yeah. Because the last time I saw him, he was jacking up half-court shots in just like meaningless high school games, and now all of a sudden he's like a grown man with skills.
Yeah, no, LaMelo is legit. And he has that situation where he played a year of professional basketball, and whereas the rest of his rookie class didn't play much at all. So, he's also at a little bit of an advantage compared to his rookie class. Anthony Edwards is coming on pretty strong right now. He's averaging like 30-something points since the All-Star break. But yeah, I mean, so who do you think is the best player on the Hornets?
LaMelo Ball.
I'm not sure if I'm going to go there yet.
Who's the best player?
I think Terry Rozier has a case to be their best player, and I think Gordon Hayward does too.
Gordon Hayward missed a fucking layup point blank with nobody around him.
Well,
He had like
here's
6
why I
points.
think that. Yeah, but here's why I think that. Look at who the defense is concerned with when they play the Hornets. They usually don't put their best defender on LaMelo. They put their best defender on Rozier or Hayward.
Here's the thing about basketball. Here's the thing about professional basketball. They're all good. All the players are really good. They're in the NBA. The separator is usually like who are like the gamers, who are the ballers, and I feel like that little extra bit of unmeasurable thing goes to LaMelo Ball. Like he just has that it factor to me. Like I watched the whole game, and yeah, Hayward is like a more polished player. He's a veteran. He's like been in the league longer. He's probably a better shooter. Better whatever. He's just probably the better overall player. You're right. But like LaMelo just has that sort of like edge to him that I was very impressed with. He just was like all over the place, and he's not afraid of anybody. He was challenging LeBron and stuff like that. Where it's like, dude, this kid's good.
He is good. He has a unique life story where he's been a pop culture figure for a long time. Been on cameras a lot of his life. This time next year, I think he very well could be the best player on that team.
I'm projecting a little bit, obviously. That's what. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Hornets are going to make the playoffs this year.
And they haven't in forever, right? They always suck, and then all of a sudden they get LaMelo, and now they're relevant and they're good. It's like he's the difference.
Dude, if you go look at the Hornets draft picks, many of which were lottery picks, this is like the first time they drafted well since Kemba Walker.
Yeah,
Kemba was a rookie a long time ago, and the Hornets have been bad for many years.
Yeah, it's exciting, right? Like for the Hornets fans and Jordan to finally like make a good pick for once. It's exciting.
It is. It is.
You got that one right.
Yeah, and the Hornets are a fun team. PJ Washington is that big guy that you like that gets those scrappy offensive rebounds, can
Miles
roll,
Bridges.
can shoot a little bit. Dude, Miles Bridges, I remember you messaged me after his rookie year. You sent me a quote that Miles Bridges said. He was like, dude, I'm sorry, but I played like shit this year. I promise I'll be better next year. And you were like, I love this about this guy. And it's in his game, he just has a very realistic self-appraisal. He's great at dunking. He can shoot. He's athletic. He stays in his lane. I mean, he's a guy I'd love to have on my team. Devontae Graham is good. He can score. They got
Rozier's
who's
good.
the big guy? Rozier's
Biombo?
definitely good. Biombo,
Biombo?
yeah, Bismack. Yeah.
That's solid, yeah. Dude, I feel like every team has like guys where it's like every team has like 4 or 5 players that are really good. I'm trying to think of a team that doesn't. Um,
Pistons might struggle to meet that threshold.
yeah, Jeremy Grant's their best player. That's rough.
Yeah.
Even like the Timberwolves, they've got like Towns and Edwards and that's
Timberwolves
it. But
doing a couple things since the All-Star break.
every team's got somebody that can beat you on any given night. I'll say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, agree.
Well, they can
Houston
just like win the
Rockets are
game.
in a rough stretch right now.
Ugh, God, they're awful. Yeah, you're right. The Rockets and the Pistons have. Yeesh.
Okay, all
We
right.
thought Wall was going to be good. No, obviously we thought that with Harden, like he would be a slight upgrade over Westbrook, but without Harden, that kind of looks like crap.
Yeah, and he's had some injury issues this year too, nagging stuff.
OKC doesn't really have much.
Yeah, they can surprise you though. They can surprise you. Al Horford and SGA can both have a good game on the same night, and they'll be all right.
I'm not that impressed with SGA. I know he's solid, but people really want him to be a thing in the hobby.
Well, that's a totally different topic. Yeah, Spurs are much better than the sum of their parts somehow. I'll give them that.
Oh gosh, they're like a seller, right? They're trying to like trade LaMarcus Aldridge, but they're still in the playoff hunt. Like, what in the world? How is that possible? Most teams that are like dumping players like that are just, they're out of it. But the Spurs are somehow in the mix as always.
Yeah. We had 2 comments come in, one from Stacking Gems and one from Slice of Slabs. First one was discuss UFC cards, and the second one is Tatis, Fernando Tatis Jr. Those aren't really our lane, but I did just want to give them an acknowledgement. Somebody took the time to write in about them. Do you have any comments on UFC or Fernando Tatis?
If I was a UFC fan and I didn't know that the cards existed and you showed it to me, I'd be so excited right now.
Fair.
Because they're tops, right? Like tops is cool. They've got like autograph sets and stuff. I like all these different lanes, and the thing I don't like about them is people use them for their own personal gain to like hype them up and try to make money. So I don't like that part of it, but I like that more people can get into the hobby through things that they like. I like that part of it. I think it's fun.
I like that take. Hawks and Habs PC says, when is Pizza Ladder getting launched?
We didn't even get into like ranking the different pizzas.
That's what the Pizza Ladder is for.
I know, but we didn't get into it at all last week. We kind of did a little bit, maybe with like frozen pizzas or something, but we didn't really rank. That's because it's impossible. There's so many, but a pizza ladder would really solve this.
It would go a long way. Cardi C Sports Cards says the most controversial question of the night: should dessert pizzas be considered pizza? For example, s'mores, Nutella pizzas.
No.
I was immediately saying no as well. I
No.
don't even know I don't even know what the other side is to this argument.
Someone said frozen pizza sucks. You, sir, are wrong. Tombstone? Yeah, maybe you haven't had Tombstone,
Tombstone is where it's at.
Tombstone is the best. Red Baron's pretty good, too.
Jax. I like Jax.
Oh, we don't have that here.
Oh, sorry. All right, sorry, Cardi C. That we just not hard to come up with the other side to that one. CZ Card.
Maybe it just hasn't gotten its due yet,
It's underrated right now, undervalued.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Chrissy Buckets knows about Jax. CZ Card says, we got into a great conversation about pizza last week. Yes, we did. So my question will stick with the food trend. What chain restaurant makes the best burger?
Oh. Damn, we got some thinkers today, guys. Oh, fuck.
I
Best
know what your vote is, Christine.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
It's In-N-Out.
No, it's not.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, so we're going like, I was thinking like restaurants, but I guess I'll expand. I'm gonna say Five Guys.
Okay. See some
Okay.
Culvers in the chat. Shake Shack, Whataburger, Fuddruckers, In-N-Out from Carvin, bringing the West Coast. Hooters. Culvers, Fuddruckers.
Culver's is good. Culver's is really good. What about you? What's yours?
Oh,
Waterburger's good.
I don't know. I'm more of a chicken. I'm more of like a grilled chicken.
No, that's not the question. No.
What do I like? What's
What? What do I like?
like? Where do I like burgers from?
Chili's. No, you usually get chicken fingers at Chili's. You're not really a burger.
I'm just not.
McDonald's.
I do.
Yeah.
I like the double quarter pounder from McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good answer. That's a good burger, man. It just is.
The fries are good too.
Yeah, McDonald's fries are so good. You just can't really argue it.
It's just such a, it's like saying the 80s. It's like the McDonald's
Right.
is the 86 Fleer of bread.
Still undervalued. Still undervalued after all this.
Oh, should we talk about this? 2 auctions ended.
The 450K.
Yeah, so one ended with PWCC tonight at 450.
Yeah, I mean, look, Timberland's gonna be pissed.
I don't know if it didn't happen on Golden, it didn't happen, right?
Ugh, give me a break, man.
And then Heritage.
That's
Heritage had one end at 480 last night, I think, the night that the Golden auctions were supposed to end, but now they
This is a
end tomorrow night.
this is a perfect example of what I'm saying. Like, someone will have one of those cards and ask 700 because that's what it did recently or a few months ago. They're like, I'm not selling less than 700. That's what this thing's worth. Well, now, no, I mean it was, but now it's worth 450. There's several examples of that. Yeah, but like, I'll just send it to Golden and I'll get 700 eventually. I mean, then go for it, send it there, and we'll bid on it at that point. But like, if you're not willing to negotiate at the current market value, what are we doing here?
Carvin, what the hell is Wiener Circle at National? Is that a thing?
I don't know why you just said that sentence out loud. People that are gonna listen to this after don't have the context of the chat, and you just said that. So I'm not even gonna repeat what you said. You're the idiot that has to live with that.
Good point. Yeah, but to go back here, I'm sorry to interrupt with that. To go back here, over under 3 Instagram accounts will attempt to sell a Jordan Fleer PSA 10 for at least $600,000 in the next week.
I don't know. I don't care.
Well, if your hypothesis, if your observation plays out, we will see at least a few. We
Probably.
will definitely see at least a few. And I don't know if everybody's aware of this or not, but there's a lot of people sent that card to auction, and it hasn't been auctioned yet. So this week alone, PWCC had one. Leland's still has one going. Heritage had one. Golden has 2.
2. Yep.
Golden has 2. And then there's one other auction house. Oh, Mile High. Mile High has one. There's 6 at auction. Right?
I actually heard a sentiment from a couple people that like this is bad, and I'm like, this is good. That card went up so fast. It went up too high, too fast. It's good that it's correcting. If it wasn't correcting, I would be like, what the? Who is manipulating this? Why are they doing this? But the fact that like the true market is speaking, people what they actually want to spend is coming down. That's good. It's a natural regression. It's fine. Don't buy something that just 7x, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, and I think it gives legitimacy to our market that there's some stabilizing that happens. Cards retreat, cards go up. You know, who wants to come into a market where everything just 7x? You know, I think that's going to scare a lot of people away. Like the question Chrissy Buckets had, like the card ladder, the CL50 went up 200% from 2015 to 2020, and then it went up 700% from 2020 to 2021.
Yeah.
And people look at that and they think, oh, is this nearing the top? Well, when you have cards that can go up and then pull back, then you can start seeing, oh, maybe there's a potential for this card to go back up again. It creates opportunity. And plus, it flushes out the weak hands, which needs to happen as well.
Boom. Dude, you think Amazon stock goes up every single day? No, it goes down too. Chill out. Okay.
Yep. And not to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't think the Jordan Fleer PSA 10 is done correcting yet.
Listen to the bald man.
Listen to the egg. You see my card. You saw my card go nut, my rookie card.
And it's corrected heavily.
Dude, the middle finger formed. The middle finger definitely.
Isn't it back to like $7?
Yeah, but that, you know, once was 50 cents. So,
Dude, a true middle finger graph is when, I guess like a middle finger is more curved in the top, but like my favorite is when it's just one sale. Where it's like,
yeah.
who the fuck was this guy? And then right back down. Some weirdo just binned it.
Yep. True. KMC Cards says, what is the most elite condiment? Condiments ladder. Would love to hear your take on it.
The funniest thing you
Island dressing.
Oh, gross. The funniest thing you texted me today was, we got a lot of food questions. And I was like, yeah, that's probably my fault.
No, it's good. People are getting creative with this.
Ketchup. You know?
Oh, okay.
How is ketchup elite?
Ketchup or ranch.
No, also mustard.
the two old reliables.
Honey mustard.
Honey mustard, yep.
Ketchup and mustard are like the Jordan LeBron. Like, I just keep it simple. I'll let you figure out which one is LeBron and which one's Jordan.
Jersey colors. You know, LeBron is in the ketchup Lakers and Jordan's in the Bulls red.
But
Wait,
ketchup
what?
is red.
Ketchup Lakers?
Yeah,
Oh, did I say that
mustard, yeah,
backwards?
you said-
Oh, shit.
No, you said both of them were ketchup.
Oh, what am I trying to say? Lakers,
I think-
yellow, mustard, Bulls,
I think-
red, ketchup.
There you go.
Kobe is mustard and Jordan LeBron are both ketchup. I think Christina's right.
Cavaliers had red jerseys. So, we can...
Dude, anything but relish. Ugh, it's basically like chopped up boogers.
Not a fan of relish as well.
I'm not going to be hungry after this episode like I was after the last one.
Yeah, condiments alone, just just like go into your fridge and eat condiments. You know, it's like, ugh.
Joe, Josh just gave Kobe the distinguished mustard comp. Joe, so definitely not Heinz.
Barbecue sauce, most overrated.
Ooh.
I think we're in the early innings of mustard, though. Like, mustard is due. Like, one day you guys are gonna respect mustard because think about it. You got your yellow mustard, you got your Dijon, you got your honey mustard.
Right,
You guys are really. You're not. What's ketchup? Ketchup's just ketchup, but mustard is.
Mustard has a lot of variations and parallels.
It does, and I think it's got a lot going for it, and I think that it'll finally get its due someday.
Right.
Second inning of mustard and like the eighth inning of ketchup.
But ketchup is it's gonna have a whole new game, or it's gonna go into extra innings. So
It's a double header for ketchup.
well, that got us through all of our questions except one.
Oh gosh, here we go.
No, I think this topic needs to play itself out more before we talk about it. But I'll still give air to the question. We don't run away from questions. Jack's Cards 888 said, I'm not sure how to address it properly, but you guys have to talk about the Deshaun Watson fiasco.
Oh my gosh. Do I have to?
Well, speaking of being in the early innings, I think the fiasco is still in its early innings, and there's a lot more fact-finding needs to be done before comments can be made without haste.
Yeah, there's no winners in trying to make a take on that case right now, because you try to say something and, you know, you're either giving you're either like defending Deshaun or you're defending the women. It's like you just can't win in that scenario. So you got to wait for the facts to come out, more facts. But I will say there's a lot of smoke here. There's a lot of smoke, and I don't see how there's not fire, at least some level of it. I'm not, I don't know to what extent, or who's embellishing, or is Deshaun, downplaying it. Like there's clearly, like, Deshaun's just gonna say like it didn't happen. They're gonna say it did. There's, is it somewhere in the middle? It just seems like there's just too many people coming out for it not to be a little bit of fire.
Yeah. Now, so you never want to be the person who discredited a person who made, valid accusations. You never want to be that person. And so having been in law school not terribly long ago, there's certain things that you come to appreciate about the justice system. It's the things you don't appreciate. It's slow and it's archaic and it doesn't always get it right. But its fact-finding mechanism works like this. Two sides present adversarial cases. They try to kill the other side. They try to aggressively pursue their case. And so when news organizations are quoting complaints that have been filed in courts of law or legal documents, those things are written, to sting and to really make the point the most forcefully it can. The other side will do that when it gets its chance, and then they sort it out through the fact-finding, tools that a court of law allows. That process is slow. It takes a long time, but it's perhaps the least bad of many bad options. So, we could do worse things than let the court and the justice system navigate the factual dispute. So that's my rant on that topic.
You think there's too much smoke, though? Do you agree with me or no?
I think as a matter of logic, there's supposed to be a total of 22 accusers as of tomorrow. And as a matter of logic, with each accuser that gets added on, the likelihood that all of them do not have meritorious cases decreases.
Yeah. I mean, let's just put our tinfoil hats on and say that it's all them working together to bring down Deshaun and get all of his money. That's a pretty crazy orchestrated event that would have to occur with nobody squealing. That it's just too many people. That's not likely.
Yep, and that's when it gets up to the numbers that are in the 20s. Even when it was, I saw a meme. I'm going to quote a meme. I saw a meme that said, Deshaun season wins last year 4, accusers 6, and 6 seemed like a high number. Then you get to 7 and 12 and 22, and that's a lot. Like you said, that's a lot of people. Yeah,
the more people get added, the more I'm like, this guy sounds like a real douchebag.
Oh, and so the hobby too just embraced him because he has his Prism 1 of 1 card in his collection of himself. So
the interesting thing about the story, though, is that half the teams in the NFL are actively pursuing him because he's demanding a trade or whatever. So now we're gonna find out, how do people value just the pure football player versus taking on the baggage of all this stuff. And it's this is one of the most played out things in sports that we see over and over is like, you know, do you take on the legal troubles and the sort of the cons that come with some of these guys, and or do you just go straight to the what's their skill level? I'm thinking of like Tyreek Hill, who had a lot of issues, but like he was so good that, you know, teams were willing to overlook some of that.
Yeah, you could always tell that Tyreek Hill was a bit of a loose cannon too. I mean, they would show him. I remember during the last playoffs, they would show him sometimes inadvertently on the sideline, and he'd be like pushing his coach and like just like raging up and down the sidelines. It's like, okay, this guy's a little bit of a loose cannon here.
Yeah. But then he's, you know, scoring 3 touchdowns in a game,
Right.
running the fastest 40 time in the game. It's like, yeah, keep doing that and just like stop talking.
Yeah. Now, you know, something that comes up in the hobby that relates is what happens if the player that somebody collects, you know, has a moment that kills their collectability.
Yeah, I've actually logged into Card Ladder 3 days in a row now to pull up Deshaun Watson's Prism Silver to see if it's going to start going down. And there hasn't been any sales on it because maybe people are like nervous to sell knowing it's going to go down. And yeah, it's kind of it's a nervous time for people that own a lot of that stuff for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And just, you know, that's what's tricky about this market too, is that, you know, sometimes stuff doesn't sell and its value is dropping anyway. So like, yeah, I mean, boom, the last sale is $1,200, but when I use our eBay link, there's tons of listings at $1,000.
Yeah, there you go. People are trying to dump it.
Yeah. There's 61 of his PSA 10 prisms on eBay of a total of 2,000. So that's not a huge percentage.
It's a cautionary tale, man. You know, like the prospect game is risky no matter how you look at it. You know, it's not even just like injury or bad play. You've also got this scenario where it's like the dude could really F up and have a really bad off the field issue. Like there's so many things that could cause a player to go down in value that it's tough to invest in something like that where it's not. That's why a lot of people say, like, if you're going to invest in sports cards, just do, you know, deceased Hall of Fame baseball players, because it's like there's literally no risk. They can't do anything else. You know, it's like Mickey Mantle can't change his narrative.
Actually, it could. It could. Statues can come down. Revelations can be made. Nobody. In fact, it might even be a little riskier to go with the person from a different era who, you know, may have adhered to norms that would not fly today. And all it takes is one biography or one revelation to paint a guy in a completely different light. So I don't know if I agree with that one.
We found out that Mantle, you know, had some like troubled past that came out we didn't know about. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, there is no way to ultimately avert, you know, except for diversifying the collection itself so you're not too heavy on any one player. But what fun is that?
Or just go for Charizard.
But then what if the creators of Pokemon or, you know, a Pokemon toy kills 1,000 kids? God, I don't even want to.
Why would you say
Oh my god. What if the Harry Potter school shuts down? What if that happens?
there's nothing that is not susceptible.
That's what would make me nervous about wrestling cards is like the writers of those shows. You know, they change from the heel to the hero. It's like, Hulk Hogan's the bad guy now. Oh,
Right.
crap.
Right. Exactly.
Dwight Howard has like 12 illegitimate kids. Charizard burns people. He's like going through the park just burning people. Babe Ruth and DiMaggio don't have the greatest life stories. Yeah.
There you go.
Cancel culture. Oh my gosh, everyone's getting canceled. Just leave Dr. Seuss alone.
Have Dr. Seuss cards gone up yet?
Dude, they're
That
going.
last frontier.
Those books are going up. Like I heard that eBay won't even let you sell those books if you have them.
What's up, Neaton?
Dude, I'm exhausted. Are we
Yeah,
done?
let's
Did you
call
tell
it.
the people? Did you tell the people?
Yeah, no, well, let's tell them now. Thanks, guys, for tuning in for 2 hours. Tomorrow night, golden auctions are ending. We can now, as you guys saw at the beginning of hour 1, we can have multiple people. We can have more than 2 people. So tomorrow I'll make an Instagram post and I'll ask for people who would like to come do a live with us tomorrow night. Talk about some of the auctions that are ending. Maybe give some Dallas recaps. Whatever. Come chat with us live tomorrow night. Literally chat with us. Come in and join us like Lefko did. So, yeah, tomorrow night, I'm not quite sure what time yet, but I'll post it tomorrow morning. So we're
People are
gonna.
gonna try to people are gonna come onto this and try to like out hot take me.
I don't know if it can be done, my friend.
They're gonna try. We're gonna bring in some. Well, I don't even know. We don't know who we're bringing in. We have no clue. But like,
Carbon,
let's
you could definitely come in, bro. But I think what we'll do is it depends upon how much demand there is. No more clubhouse. Yes, we will free ourselves of the clubhouse.
how are we gonna distribute the time? Is that what you're thinking? How are we gonna?
Yes, exactly. So I don't think we want to have 2 guests at once. I think we just everybody gets some real Chris and Josh attention for like 5 minutes. There's like 5-minute intervals, and just like bring in, as many people as want to come on.
I want people to try to like get me riled up on some dumb comment.
He said
That's what
it. He just gave you guys the permission.
You guys can do it. Come on and just try to get me pissed off. Let's do it.
Yamwax, you have to make an appearance, sir. Mustache included. Neaton, you are definitely invited, buddy. Without a doubt. So I think that's how we'll do it. We'll have 5-minute rotations or something like that.
You gotta be on the Jeopardy button, the fucking Jeopardy music, and booting people. I don't want lingerers.
No, when the 5 minutes is up, there won't even be a goodbye. Just pew.
You're getting booted, and it's a totally as respectful of a boot as it could be, right?
Yeah, no
We love you.
disrespect.
You're out of here.
It's like that old adage, if you want the cake to be distributed fairly, make the person cutting the cake pick last. I don't know if that exactly applies here, but I just love that metaphor.
I love it. I think everyone would be down for the time limit for sure, and like the democracy of our chat is very fair. So,
Definitely.
what'd you say about democracy earlier? What's the phrase?
Democracy is the least bad of the alternatives.
There you go. So tomorrow will be the least bad of the alternatives.
Right on. Right on.
We should make contests. Who can get me to react the most to something? Who can have the best take?
I mean,
etc.
are you okay with that being the theme of the show?
No, not really, because like I'm just gonna get exhausted with, Jimmer Fredette's the best player of all time crap or something.
Maybe in China. All right,
Send
man.
us all.
Good show. See you guys tomorrow night.